Good morning. How y'all doing? Welcome to Casey's Take. We're going to talk mainly NFL playoffs today. Of course, that is I think that's kind of the big thing going on in the sports world, at least for me. And I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk about hockey or soccer or anything else that I don't know about. And I'm not really sure if I know about NFL playoffs, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We're going to talk NFL playoffs. We're going to talk Tom Brady, and then we're going to talk. What was the third take? Oh, my favorite. I know y'all heard my phone go off. We're going to talk my favorite matchups, what I think might happen in the Super Bowl, who might get there. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the show. And we're going to start with NFL playoffs. Just a kind of an overview type deal because, to be honest, I haven't been able to watch all of every game. Saturday, my Creekwood girls, we had our sectional match for the state bowling tournament. We won, but I kind of got busy Saturday, so I wasn't able to watch the early part of that Jacksonville game. And I'm not really sure what happened, but I did see the score at one point was, I think the Chargers were up 27-0, I think maybe. And then Jacksonville comes back to win that game. That's crazy. That's again, I didn't get to see it. I don't know what happened. I do know that Trevor Lawrence threw 2 or 3 picks early in that game. Chargers got up big. I just saw the news where they fired their offensive coordinator and QB coach, I think. That may be not 100% correct, but they did fire their QB coach and one other person. I do know that for a fact. Ooh, sorry. But that was Saturday's early game. There was a late Saturday game, and I can't even begin to remember what that one was. But Monday night was the Dallas-Tampa game. Now, just real quick, I know going into that game that Tom Brady was 7-0 in his career against the Cowboys. 7-0. But I had a match. I had a bowling match Monday, and on the way back on the bus, Scott, who's the other coach of the bowling team, he's a big Cowboys fan. I told him, I said, Scott, I don't really care for Tom Brady or the Buccaneers, and I really don't like the Cowboys. But I told him, I said, I think this has got to be the time, right? I mean, Tom can't stay undefeated against the Cowboys forever. And Dallas put a hurting on him. Dallas put a hurting on Tampa Bay. Tom didn't really look all that great, which is what we're going to talk about in my next segment, which we've got a bunch of stuff to get to first. But I got DMA reads and other stuff before we even get into that. But let's see. Now, as far as, the other Saturday game was Seattle and San Francisco. And again, San Francisco is a team we're going to talk about later as far as my favorite matchups. And then Sunday was a big day. I was able to watch, which I was trying to finish up a lot of stuff with the paper, but I was able to finish up the end of the Bills-Dolphins game, which was a lot closer than it should have been. I know a lot of people are going to look at that score and say, oh, my goodness, the Dolphins with the backup quarterback only lost by 3. The Bills did everything they could to give away that game. And Bills fans, if you're not willing to admit the same thing, you're an idiot or didn't watch the game. The Bills tried to give the game away. I think Josh Allen had 3 turnovers by himself, including a huge strip sack for a touchdown that basically, I think, made the Dolphins think they could win the game. From then on forward, the Dolphins, they were close. They had a chance, but Skylar Thompson, for as good as he played, did not play very good at all. I think at one point he was 17 of 14 for like 180 yards, and I think he had 2 picks. Not a very good effort from him, but, I mean, there was a reason why he's the third-string quarterback starting the season. The Dolphins are talking like Tua is going to be their starting quarterback next year. I don't know. I don't see how that kid steps back on a football field, but that's neither here nor there, and a different subject for a different day. Giants took down the Vikings, beat the Vikings at home. I'm not a big Giants fan, but I really don't like the Vikings. Other than like Hawkinson, I don't really care for anybody on the Vikings. I don't have a team to root for here. But the Giants played really, really well. And I do like Brian DeBole. I don't know how to say his last name, but I do like the Giants head coach. I think he was the offensive coordinator, or maybe he was the defensive coordinator at Buffalo last year. The Giants brought him in. Daniel Jones has played very well. Saquon Barkley looks like he's back to being the Penn State Saquon Barkley. He's been fun to watch, and that's awesome for him. But Giants get the win there. The last game of the wild card on Sunday was Bengals and Ravens. Now, that game should not have been that close. The Ravens had Lamar's the backup Huntley. They had Tyler Huntley, and a lot of people were afraid they'd have to go with Anthony Brown, but they had Huntley. Huntley, bless his heart, he tried hard. I think he played as hard as he could, but I'm fairly certain I agree with J.K. Dobbins on his take that if they had Lamar, they win that game. And I think that's true because the Bengals, it was 17-17, and then they get this long fumble return for a touchdown. Bengals didn't play well. If you're a Bengals fan, it may not be exactly what you want to see, but I will say the one saving grace there for the Bengals is when you play a division team, it really doesn't matter how good or bad either one of you are. These division teams, they know everything about you. And I think somebody said this on one of the broadcasts the other day. Teams in your division, they know how you do things. They know your tendencies on certain situations. They're just harder to beat. And I think you can kind of chalk that up if you're a Bengals fan. Look, it's the playoffs. Win, stay alive, win and survive, whatever you want to call it. The Bengals did what they had to do. I think they'll have to play the Bills next week, whereas the Jaguars, the Jaguars have got to go to Kansas City and play against the Chiefs. I don't think the Jaguars are going to win that game, but a friend of mine brought up a pretty good point. He said the AFC South knows how to beat the Chiefs. I think the Titans know how to beat the Chiefs. I'm not real sure if the Jaguars do. But, again, that's next week. So we'll see Jaguars, Chiefs, and we'll see Bills, Bengals. That should be a really, really fun game. And personally, I think whoever wins the Bills-Bengals game is probably going to beat Kansas City. But that's just me. On the other side, who do we have left? We got Niners, Giants, Cowboys, and Eagles. I think Giants are going to play the Eagles, and that leaves the Niners and Cowboys together. That feels like an old school, like an 80s, 90s matchup. That'll be fun. Cowboys and Niners, that's going to be what I consider to be a pretty defensive game. Both of those defenses are great. San Francisco's defense is great. That's going to be fun to watch. Giants and Eagles, man, I'd love to see the Giants play well because, God, I hate the Eagles. I don't even really hate the Eagles. I have obvious issues with A.J. Brown. Their fans are complete dorks, and I'm using the word dork for lack of a better word because I'm not allowed to say bad words, or at least I don't think I am, but I'm not going to say bad words. So we're going to hope the Giants pull that one out. But, Lord, about a 9-minute first take. All right, I'm going to do my DMA read real quick, and then we're going to get back and talk a few other things. Casey's Take is brought to you by DMA Orthopedics and Dr. Anthony Tropiano. Dr. Anthony Tropiano provides patients with prompt, effective treatment using the best technology available and in a manner that's compassionate and understanding of their needs. Dr. Tropiano is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. Call 615-441-4522 today. That's 615-441-4522. Commercial.
At Dixon Medical Associates, your health is our #1 priority. With over 40 providers, our goal is to bring excellent, convenient, and comprehensive medical care to our community. Dixon Medical Associates, a destination for care.
Now, my second and third takes, the second one is going to be talking about Tom Brady, and the third one's going to be talking about who I think my favorite matchup is going to be. But as you see it down there on the bottom of the screen, I don't want Tom Brady. And it's not just after watching the Cowboys-Buccaneers game. It's over a culmination of this season where Tom Brady, listen, Tom Brady is the greatest football player that has ever lived. I just don't think you can argue with the Super Bowl rings. I don't think you can argue with the Super Bowl MVPs, the longevity, everything he's done. He's the greatest quarterback of all time, probably the greatest football player of all time. I think Jerry Rice, maybe Lawrence Taylor would have an argument with that, but neither one of them, I think, can argue as far as a playoff, a Super Bowl argument. They can't make it with him. Tom Brady's kind of in a class of his own because of the accolades, the achievements, and the ability. But there's one opponent that everybody loses to, and I've said this before. It is Father Time. And I think Father Time has finally decided to knock on his door. Now, I told y'all when Tom came back, I told y'all, I said, listen, he's got Gisele Bundchen. He's got a beach out in the middle of nowhere. He should have never came back. He should have stayed there. But he came back. He's lost a lot. I know that has to do a lot to a man's mental strength. But physically, he's 45, 46 years old. And, man, I'm 30. and there's just no way. I already feel the effects of not being 21 anymore. And there's just no way that you can expect a 46-year-old man to go out there and lead a team. Now, listen, if the Titans had the offensive line from a few years ago and the Derrick Henry from a few years ago and the defense from a few years ago, receivers, you could maybe talk me into it. But look at this offensive line. I mean, during that Bengals game, Jonah Williams gave up a sack, and it said he's tied for first with Dennis Daly for most sacks given up all year long. And Daly played what, like half the snaps? Listen, Daly's terrible. The rest of the offensive line is not very good. Even the ones that were healthy when they were there, they're good at run blocking, but not necessarily a great pass blocking offense, and they haven't been in a long time, if like years. I just don't see how an immobile, I don't know what's happening. An immobile 46-year-old man playing quarterback is a good thing for the Titans, especially when their offensive line can't block. Tom Brady's not going to be good enough to win you a Super Bowl when the rest of your offense looks like that. He's just not. Now, I think I kind of hope most Titans fans are. I hope I'm in the majority. Now, I spend a lot of my time in the minority when it comes to certain takes or ideas or opinions that I have. But I really, really hope I'm in the majority because some of y'all, I get it. The rings, the 7 rings, the 5 Super Bowl MVPs, all that stuff, that's fantastic. It's wonderful. But Lord have mercy, 46 years old. I just couldn't imagine. I went and got a rank of wood with my dad. And he's a little bit older than 46, but I mean, even working with my dad the other day, I thought, man, y'all come on, y'all can't be expecting a 46-year-old man to play quarterback in the NFL. Tom needs to retire. Hopefully, fix things up with his family situation. But we'll see what he decides to do. I just know as a Titans fan, I don't want him. If any of you feel that way or don't feel that way, let me know. But third take. We'll go ahead and jump into the third take. That's going to be some of my favorite Super Bowl matchups or what I think might happen. I really hope, nothing against the Cowboys, even though I don't like them, but nothing against them. I really hope the Niners win. And then if the Eagles win this weekend, you're going to get an Eagles-Niners matchup for the NFC Championship. If Brock Purdy plays the way he did the other day against the Seahawks, nobody's beating the 49ers in the NFC. I don't care how good the Eagles have been. I don't care how good they are. That defense is on a whole different level. That defense is better than the Eagles defense. And if Brock Purdy plays halfway decent with the weapons he's got around him, I know that Jalen Hurts has great weapons, but Shanahan's offense is really hard to stop, especially when you have McCaffrey, Ayuk, Samuel. I know the Eagles got some receivers too, but I'll take Niners to win that. Now, over in the AFC is where it gets really fun. Let's just say over in the AFC, I don't think the Jaguars have a snowball's chance in Hades of winning and getting out of that playoff picture. I might be wrong, but we'll see. So I'm going to assume the Chiefs go ahead and win. That that gives us a Bengals-Bills matchup, which I think could be a flip of the coin toss. It's going to come down to which quarterback plays better, in my opinion. And I know there are a lot of things that go into that as far as like receivers making catches, offensive line blocking, the defense making plays. All of this kind of matches up for Josh Allen a little bit more, but Joe Burrow, he's Joe. He had like 16 nicknames last year in the playoffs. He's Joe Cool, and I think he gives the Bengals a really good chance to win. Plus, they have Jamar Chase, who's one of the best receivers in all of football. So is Stephon Diggs. Bills-Bengals is going to be really, really fun to watch. Let's say I think Bills pull that out. So let's say Bills-Chiefs against Bills-Chiefs on one side. We got Niners-Eagles on the other side. So I'm taking Niners, and I'm going to take Bills. Whoever wins the Bengals-Bills game, I think beats the Chiefs. So what are we looking at? Bills-Niners Super Bowl or Bengals-Niners Super Bowl? I don't think anybody beats the Niners. I really don't. If Brock Purdy plays like crap, they're still really, really hard to beat. If Brock Purdy plays really well, I don't think you can beat them. I think the defense is too good. Fred Warner's too good. Nick Bosa might win Defensive Player of the Year as good as Micah Parsons has been all year long. There's a bunch of different things going on with San Francisco, and I think they're the most complete team. I think they got the best coaches. Now, the one thing that does bother me about being in the Super Bowl, Shanahan for some reason gets all the way to the Super Bowl and then just loses it. He let Tom come back from 28-3 down. He was the OC in Atlanta when that happened. Let's see, what was the other? He had another huge. Oh well, I mean, yeah, the Niners the first time they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Not the first time, it may have been the first time, but a few years ago when Mahomes won his first Super Bowl, they come back late to beat the 49ers. Maybe Shanahan just sucks in certain situations. So that's the one thing I'm kind of scared about, but I do love his offense, and I love their weapons, and I love the way they operate. I think he just needs somebody to kind of sit there and hold his hand whenever the situation gets big. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. By the way, Kyle Shanahan, if you want to pay somebody to do that job, I can help you out. I can be the get-back coach. Just put me on the sideline. I'll tell you what to do every once in a while whenever you start to lose your bearings. But I think my favorite matchup would be probably Bengals-Niners because Joe Burrow is really fun to watch. He's that fun to watch for me. But I think the Bills probably get through. Like I said, for some reason, I just feel like whoever wins the Bills-Bengals game is going to beat the Chiefs. I might be wrong. I don't care about any of these teams. I don't like any of these teams. So I'm not speaking from like a biased point of view or an opinion of – not an opinion of who I think is my favorite. It is an opinion of who I think would win. And for some reason, I think the Chiefs are going to lose to either the Bills or the Bengals. I don't think anybody's going to beat the 49ers. I just don't. I hope Jalen Hurts is healthy, though. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, he gives the Eagles a really good chance to beat the Niners and probably the only team that can beat them. If the Cowboys played like they did the other day against the Buccaneers, they probably could beat the 49ers, but they're going to have to be perfect, and Dak's going to have to be really good the entire time. And the first part of that game, Dak was not good. Now, he was really good for the last 45 minutes, but the first quarter, he came out and he was not very good. He missed a lot of easy passes. Maybe he's nervous, maybe whatever. I don't know. But got a lot of different matchups we can kind of see from here on out. Wouldn't bother me if the Jaguars and the Giants played in the Super Bowl because that would just ruin everybody else's day. And y'all know I'm an agent of chaos, and I love it when other people are as remotely sad as I am. So if we can just go ahead and ruin a bunch of playoff chances, that would be great. I'd love that. My team is not playing, so let's just see the craziest stuff we can. But that's all for the third take. Casey's Take is brought to you by DMA Orthopedics and Dr. Anthony Tropiano. Dr. Anthony Tropiano provides patients with prompt, effective treatment using the best technology available and in a manner that is compassionate and understanding of their needs. Dr. Tropiano is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. Call 615-441-4522 today. That's 615-441-4522. We're going to go to a commercial real quick.
Here at Dixon Medical Associates, we've got you covered from neck to toe. Our orthopedics team surgery, and more. We also have in-house imaging and physical therapy. Dixon Medical Associates. We specialize in what moves you.
Now, for the last take of the day, as usual, we've got high school sports. This is usually the best take because I know more about this than the other sports. So, a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. We're going to start off with the good news. My Creekwood girls, they qualified for their for a state tournament. They will bowl Thursday morning in the team quarterfinals against Ray County. We just received the bracket yesterday, I believe. So our girls are going to bowl against Ray County. That should be fun. I looked at some stats for Ray County. Pretty good team. Of course, you get to the Elite Eight. Everybody's pretty good. So that's going to be fun. Also, Dixon County girls graduated. Dixon County girls qualified for their first state tournament in program history, which is awesome. When you coach the team across town and it's a sport like bowling, I mean, you get to know some of the kids pretty good. So there are a few girls on that team that I know fairly well, and really happy for them, and awesome moment for that program. And I know I spoke to Joey Malona, the coach. I spoke to him a few weeks ago and heard that little whistle. I spoke to him a few weeks ago and did a little article on the girls and just getting into a whole new area, just getting into a whole new section of the playoffs they had never made it to before. And at that point, it was early in region tournament, and they made it. The Lady Cougars made it further than they never made it, and since then they just kept winning. Now they did lose the region championship, but they had to go on the road and play Beach. They beat Beach on Saturday. They qualified for state. So congratulations to Dixon County. Congratulations to Creekwood. Both teams are sending girls. Now on the boys' side, we had a chance Monday, Creekwood, bowling in the sectional match against Mount Juliet. And Mount Juliet bowled really, really good. And as most of you know, I'm more or less the boys' coach for Creekwood, and to be quite frank with you, I've been pretty much heartbroken since it happened. And I had to apologize to my team because I've told them all year long. That if they work really hard and they do the small things that they need to do to succeed, they're going to win. And that was just not the case for the last two matches. We bowled Franklin in the region championship, and Franklin had one of the best days I've ever seen a high school team have, and they beat us pretty good, and we didn't bowl bad. I felt like our guys kind of bowled about average, and wasn't anything we could do. Franklin just bowled really good, and then against Mount Juliet, I don't really care what anybody has to think about this, but Creekwood, the boys at Creekwood are a lot better than the Mount Juliet team. But you have to give Mount Juliet credit. They struck when they needed to. Those kids got hot, and they did what they needed to do. And I might be 100% biased, but like I said, I do think my team is still better, but they didn't show it. So congratulations to Mount Juliet. They're headed to state, but I had to apologize to my kids because I told them, I said, I've always told you that if you do the little things right and you work really hard, everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And the last two matches, it seemed like things that were out of our control beat us. And that's just really hard to handle as a coach, because if you're in control of all the things that you can control and you do the things you're supposed to do to win, I feel like you ought to get the win. And just didn't happen. Just didn't happen. And like I said, it was heartbreaking because you got a group of kids here that worked really, really hard. And that was a really fun team to be around. High school bowling has single-handedly, it's reinvigorated my life. It's made me a completely different person. And I have a lot to thank those kids for, and the coaches and the other people, everybody that's been a part of it. anything I've been able to be a part of with high school bowling has been just tremendous, especially for this town, this area. Not everybody around here plays soccer or plays football, and bowling has given a lot of these kids an opportunity to do something that makes them happy, be a part of a team that wins, and it's given some kids an opportunity to go to school and get a college education. And we've got I can't speak for other schools, but I know Creekwood, we've got a few kids that are in school now. We've got a few more kids that I think have gotten out of school already that have went to college and, on a bowling scholarship. And it's this thing is really, I mean, it saved my life. I'm not kidding. High school bowling's been the best thing I ever did. And I love this job. Don't get me wrong. This is an awesome job. This is the greatest job in the world. I get to cover high school sports. They pay me to go watch high school, basketball games, football games. I wish I was a little bit better at it and probably had a few clones so I could cover more stuff, but this is the coolest job in the world. But high school bowling has been great for me. And for anybody that watches it, especially if you've been a part of my team in the last few years, last 7 years, thank you. Thank you very much. And, but I am heartbroken over Monday's loss, but it happens. But in other news, let's see, basketball's up and going. I want to say Sycamore won last week's Battle of the County, the wrestling Battle of the County. They get Sycamore, Harpeth, and Cheatham all together, and all three of those schools take wrestling very seriously. Sycamore, I believe, won that. I wish I would have known they were doing it last week. I didn't know. We didn't have a photographer or me there. So, but congratulations, Sycamore, for winning that. Sycamore and Cheatham split in the basketball game last week. Let's see, Creekwood swept Greenbrier on Friday night. Dixon swept McEwen on Monday night. That's about it. And one other thing real quick for high school bowling. State does begin Wednesday. Let's see, Wednesday is going to be individuals. And then Thursday is quarterfinals. And then, Friday is going to be the individual finals and then the semifinals and finals for team. So wish me luck. We do have 7 individuals, 3 boys and 4 girls, I believe, in the individual tournament, which will start Wednesday. And then, like I said, our girls and Dixon County's girls will start Thursday. So thank you for watching Casey's Take this week. Hopefully I get to see you next week. Come on back and enjoy the show. But right down there, you see it on the bottom. I'm on Twitter at CVP51. You want to come and argue with me on something? You want to tell me you want Tom Brady, whatever it is. If you think the Jaguars are going to beat the Giants in the Super Bowl, let me know. Whatever you got to say, just come find me, tweet at me, DM me, whatever you want. It don't matter. I'm down for a good conversation. So, but thank y'all for coming and watching Casey's Take today, and y'all have a good evening.